Hello, welcome to this week's 5-minute life hack. Today, as you can tell, we're going to be talking about financial freedom. Um, those of you who know me well know this is a pretty important topic to me, but I'm going to start with a question. Do you know or do you believe that we have a purpose while you're here? What's the purpose of your life? What is your special gift to bring to humanity, to the world, to your community, your family? What are you here for in a much deeper way? I think that's an important question, and it's going to sound a little bit weird, but I think this is one of my purposes on the planet, is to help people understand finances, is to help them utilize finances and monies to get a better life, to help those around them to be better individuals. Money is just a tool, just like anything else, but it's incredibly important in living the life that I believe you were meant to live. And that means a lot of discipline. That means a lot of other things. So today's going to actually be a little bit more on the practical side, less motivational, inspirational, but I really hope some of the things I've learned and have taught to people for years might help you as well. So let's see. We'll dive right in if the slides are going to move here. There we go. All right. So the definition of freedom: the power or right to act, speak, and change as one wants without hindrance or restraint. Now, most of us have constraints in the financial realm. We can't buy anything and everything we want. We can't give away as much as we want. There are constraints, and that's okay. That's the human condition. I actually think it's very healthy for each of us to have those constraints and to have to be forced to make decisions about priorities, what's most important. We would love to have a 15-story office tower for each of our businesses. It's not financially reasonable or rational to do so, and that's okay. We can be happy and grateful for the things we have and use that also as a challenge to push forward. So today we're going to talk about this in a different sense. We're going to talk about the 4 sins of money, and we're going to get very practical and very real. Some of these may touch a nerve with some of you, and that's okay. I want you to dig deep and think about these internally, and if there may be areas to change or shift. These are things that I've had to change and shift in my life, and has helped me get to a better place. Just like, let's pretend for a moment you have 2 friends. You have one friend you go and visit, and you realize, kind of like an energy vampire, every time you go and visit them, you come away feeling down or sad, not loved or embraced. And then you have another friend that every time you go visit, you walk away lighter, happier, more energy. Where are you going to spend the most time? You're going to find over time you spend more and more time gravitating toward the person who loves you, who embraces you, who empowers you, those types of things. Money is the same way. Money goes to where it is treated best. It doesn't go towards people who are scared of it, who are not certain about it, who don't know how to utilize it to affect their plans and their desires. So if you are scared of money, I've met lots and lots of people who are, and I have been. That's something you're going to want to change. You're going to want to understand it. You're going to want to use it as a tool to accomplish what you want and need in your life. Sin number 1, racking up credit card debt. Whether that's you're young and you're just starting out, you want to avoid this like the plague. This is the number 1 killer of financial freedom. I have a good friend who, when they were in college, they purchased a awesome new snowboard. It was ski season, snowboarding was here. It was like, man, I'm going to go get this. And it was, I think at the time, about $350. They ended up paying that for over, I think it was like 7 or 8 years. I believe it cost them well over $600 with all of the interest charges they paid. Now, how much further ahead could they have been if they bought a $350 board with cash? Or maybe they bought a $250 board with cash. Not quite as nice, but pretty good. Or maybe they delayed it a little bit. They rented a snowboard that year, cost them $80, and they waited till the next year when they actually had the funds to do that. It's okay to tell ourselves no sometimes. I can't afford that now, so what's the plan to get there? Credit cards are the last place you want to go. Title loans, those kinds of things. It is almost impossible once you get too far down into that hole. The interest is too high. It's really, really hard to get out of that. So that's sin number one. Sin number two is spending more than you earn. Richest Man in Babylon talks about this. This comes back to the 10% rule. There's been tons and tons of data and research on this, but if you ask the vast majority of people, where would you be comfortable with your income? If they earn 30,000, it's magically 10% higher. Oh, if I had 10% more, then I'd be content. Then I'd have enough. Then I'd be happy. If they make 100,000, then they think it's 110,000. It's just a little more than where they're at. And that's true across generations. It's true across cultures. Those surveys have been done many, many, many times. The point is we all want a little more. The counteracting agent to that is realizing that what you have is enough if you make the right decisions. And part of that is saving 10% of your income. Now, I've been in a place I could not save 10% of my income. Some of you may be there or may be saying that. Number one, you'd be surprised. You can probably save more than you think you can if you just start and you make it automatic. So if you get a paycheck, put 5% away. Do that for 3 months and have it automatically go into a money market account or something else. Your bank can set that up really easy. Make one call. It'll take you 15 minutes. And you'll say, hey, I want 10% of my incoming check to go into this other account, or 5% or whatever. If it's 5%, do that for 3 months. I guarantee you at the end of that 3 months, you're going to feel like, oh, I didn't even notice the difference. Then you can bump it up to 10% and get saving 10. I've very rarely had somebody who said, yeah, that was actually too tight. I couldn't do that. They find a way. It's magic. The money just reappears, or you spend back down to 90% of your income, whatever that looks like for you. Do it, figure it out, start out slow. When I started, I couldn't do 10%, or I thought I couldn't. And so I started with 3, and we started with 3%. And then the next year when we got a raise, it was 8%, and then it was 10%, and we've been there or higher ever since. And that's made all the difference in building wealth and some financial independence. But it started with that first 3% when I couldn't afford it. And if I didn't start then, I wouldn't have gotten to 10% later. So do what you can. The third sin of money is falling prey to the I deserve this syndrome. Trust me, we all deserve it. I know, we've all been there. I have a good friend who was getting ready to go on his honeymoon and said his wife loves the arts and wanted to take his wife to New York. And he said, well, she deserves this. And I said, yes, she does. She totally deserves to go there. But does she deserve the other side of that coin? Does she deserve to be in $4,000 of debt right out of the get-go because you decided to do a honeymoon that was maybe a little outside of what you could afford at the time? She deserves to go to New York, but she deserves to go there stress-free when you can afford it as well. And I think it's really hard because we all have days like that. It's a challenge, especially in America. We are way too materialistic. There's this show of, lifestyles of the rich and famous. And that's a pretty old show. Some of you probably don't know, but they would show all these crazy, amazing things from all these wealthy people. And I don't think that's what traps most of us. It's not the big truck. It's not the fancy vacation home or the boat. It's the smaller things. It's I deserve some new shoes, or I deserve some of these things. And it's true, we do deserve all of those, but we deserve to be able to afford them first. We don't deserve the debt and the stress and the angst that's going to come with it if we don't do it too early. So my suggestion is get out of the I deserve game and flip it on its head. Say, I deserve it, but I deserve it when I can pay cash for it. I deserve to go to Hawaii, but not till I can pay cash. That will make all the difference in the world, and you'll avoid all the stress and the angst of debt. The last one, let's see, the fourth sin of money is sloth is a deadly sin in money too. So in practical terms, what does that mean? It means you might have a side hustle. I know a lot of people have a side gig or something else they do on the side. I did for years, and I still do. Second jobs, income injections. So what I would say is there are times in life when you get, I would call them income injections. It might be a tax return refund. It might be $500 for a birthday. It might be $30 because you helped go do a second job or something, right? There's lots of different things. Use that extra money over and above what you normally earn to enhance your life, to enhance your wealth, whether that means you take that $50 extra and pay down debt, whether that means you put that towards savings or an investment. Use that extra money, at least some of it. My wife and I used to come up with this idea that she wanted to spend it and I wanted to save it all. And so we compromised, and we would spend some of it and we would save some of it. But we would use that part that we saved to enhance our life's future. And that made all the difference because, you know, we could have spent the money and it would have been gone, and we would have had a great vacation, or we would have bought that new couch or whatever it was, but it was gone. And instead we used it to continue to accelerate our life and our wealth building and our financial freedom. And that has made all the difference. So there's our 4 sins to avoid: racking up credit card debt, spending more than you earn, falling prey to I deserve this, and slothfulness. If you need to do a second job, there's no shame in that. I've done it for years. It's okay. Working on some Saturdays, having a side hustle at night. My wife and I used to have date nights where we would count quarters from the vending machines we had on the side, and we would watch a movie and we would count them on the kitchen table. And our kids would help us do that later on. Like there's no shame in it. It's actually, I think, a phenomenal thing watching people hustle like that. So that's kind of the ideas. But I hope some of those ideas are helpful to you. I hope you can look in the mirror. Money's a very sensitive and hard subject, and so I just say these things. These are some things that I have learned, and I hope this helps you. And it takes time to get out of credit card debt or to start saving 10%. It might take a couple of years. I promise you, if you start today, it will make a huge difference for your future. Please do it. Thanks a ton. We care a lot about you. I care that you're happy, healthy, and this is part of it. So appreciate it. Thank you. Best of luck, and go make an impact today.